Hello, happy Thursday. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Kendra Rhodes, and I run the trainings every Thursday for Life Plan 360. So welcome for those of us who are new. I do see some new names, and I figure we'll probably have a few people joining us over the next few minutes. But we do have a lot to get through today, so I would like to get started. So just keep in mind, if you have background,
and today we are going to say even another goodbye
yourselves if you have background noise. If you do have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. I'm always open to people just jumping in. Sometimes I'm doing multiple things with this and I don't see the chat. So if I'm not answering your question, please feel free to jump in. That being said, so the homework for this week was primarily to send me a list of any objections that you have either gotten from a client or that you are concerned about getting for a client and would like some assistance in knowing how to prepare for that when those objections do eventually come up. All of us will get objections. It's not going to be 100% easy 100% of the time, or everyone would do it. So that being said, I did get a list of objections from you guys. Kudos to anybody who sent those in. Let me just admit some people really quickly. And yeah, so we're gonna start going through some of these. The first one is one that we did cover last week, so I'm gonna go through it again quickly. And that objection is, and first off, one thing I'd like to say about objections is something I noticed as I was getting objections from various people is that a lot of these objections are not going to show up depending on how you are presenting yourself. If you are presenting yourself as an insurance agent, you're going to get every single one of these objections and then some. If you are not presenting yourself as an insurance agent, some of these can be avoided because as soon as you say, "Hi, I'm Kendra Rose and I'm an insurance agent," their hackles are up. Your client's hackles are up. This person is trying to sell me something. This person is trying to sell me something I don't need. This person is a charlatan. There are a lot of things that are going through your client's head. So personally, I present myself as a financial consultant for several reasons. One, I don't tell my clients upfront what the products are going to be because I don't necessarily know. They are going to design their own product throughout the process. For anybody who has not seen me run through the Life Plan 360 software, feel free to email me for the recordings that we did a few weeks ago. Otherwise, I will be starting that process again next week. So just for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. But that being said, a client is going to design their own product. My job is to be the guide that walks them through how to do it, how to build their own plan, how to design their own product, and how to implement that product such that it works for them. That being said, so also, you cannot say that you are a financial advisor or a financial planner if you are not series licensed. That is a legal issue, hence why I use the title financial consultant. And insurance is not the only thing I do. I do budget assistance. I do profit and loss review for households. There are a number of things that I can walk people through, walking people through how do I use the snowball method to pay off debt. So because of that, I can say that I'm a financial consultant because life insurance, not the only thing I do. Okay, so the first objection is that whole life insurance is too expensive. We've all heard this, right? Is it too expensive? What about a licensed insurance advisor? You can. I generally don't. I try to avoid the word insurance like the plague because as soon as you say insurance, people have all these connotations of, how do I get out of this elevator? This person is going to, I'll sign whatever it is that they want me to sign just so that they'll go away and then they cancel it. So we want them to choose insurance freely and independently of anything that we are trying to sell them. we want them to own this and make it their own. This is mine. Nobody can take it away from me. I designed this myself. Nobody can tell me it's wrong or bad or any of that. So I try not to let the cat out of the bag too early in that sense, such that this person's trying to sell me insurance. I'm only happy. They kind of keep you at arm's distance. So, can everybody hear me? Okay, sorry, I thought I saw some people being confused about that. Okay, so that is the reason why I try to avoid the word insurance in presenting myself. So that being said, I'm going to bring up, if I can find the tab that I had, here it is. Okay. So insurance, right? So let me share my screen. This is something that you guys will probably eventually run into, that you're trying to do so many things that you've got 100 tabs open and then can't find anything. So share, and let me just let people in real quick. Okay. So we kind of did this last week, but I'm going to review it really quickly. So let me log in. It's thinking. Yeah, I think that's me. So basically what we're trying to show a client, oh, is it really? Let me just get the pin real quick. So what we're trying to show a client is that a banking life insurance product is not going to cost them anything over time as compared to, say, a term life product. So 12472. Okay. Foresters now has a two-step authorization thing that it now sends you a text. So hold on, stop it. Bear with me 1 second. Come on. Illustrations. Okay. So when we're building a product for a client, we're going to go into our whole life build. So we're going to say that our client is male and 42, just for kicks and giggles. So that would be 1980. Yep, so it updates to 42. So I run everything as non-tobacco standard, but we're going to go to death benefit and funding really quickly. Oh, I forgot to put that it's a medical. I always do this. Medical, death benefit and funding. The build that I use is FPUA permanent term blend non-mech face solve. So if that is a mouthful for anybody, feel free to email me and I will send you exactly what that is. Perfect. So we're going to say that our premium is annual, and we're going to say that our annual outlay is $30,000, just for the sake of this example. And now we're going to go over to riders. And it's going to think about this for a minute. Awesome. So let's just say that we're not going to put anything into the lump sum year 1 or years 1 through 3, just for the sake of simplification, just to see it. Okay, we're going to put a 20-year term on it. And now we're going to take a look at this. Okay. So we put $30,000 into this every year, correct? Yes, no, maybe? Am I alone in the room?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we put $30,000 times 10 years, right? In year 10. So can anybody tell me what the guaranteed cash value is at this point? Anybody? Can we see the number I highlighted?
313,000.
Thank you. So we have $313,000 and we've put $300,000 into this. What is the cost to the client. They have $313,000 of leverageable cash value on the guaranteed basis, and they've put in 300,000. What is the cost?
Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
But we have a death benefit of $1.4 million, right?
Yeah.
Everybody see that right here?
Yes, I see that.
So what is the cost of carrying this $1.5 million death benefit?
0.
0. It becomes a fringe benefit, right?
Yeah, hold on.
So, okay, so year one, we've got $728,000 of death benefit, right? Does
Yes.
everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now what I want to do is we're going to go back to the product. Come on, same product. And we're going to run a term product. So we still have valued client, male, 42 years old, non-tobacco standard. Let's go with this. We said it was 720. We're just going to round down to $700,000 for the sake of easy math. Premium is still annual. So does anybody want to see a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year? What are we looking for? He's 42.
30.
30? Awesome. 30-year term. And we're going to go to the at a glance. So this product is costing us $2,200 a year times 30 years, right? We're purchasing this product for 30 years. So let me grab a calculator real quick, because I'm decent at math, but I'm not that good. 2233 times 30. That is what we have spent on this over 30 years. So we're spending $67,000 basically, right?
Correct.
Okay. So one day after 30 years, what do we have with this product?
Nothing.
Nothing. We don't have a death benefit anymore, right? Because it's a term. And at age 72, that same $700,000 death benefit, the cost for that 1 year goes up to $23,000. And notice in this column over here, all the way over on the left, we have a level death benefit of $700,000. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
In our banking whole life product, we started with a death benefit of 728, and by year 10 we had a 1.4 something million dollar death benefit. So we had an increasing death benefit, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So let me go back to that build for a second. So for the 30-year term, how much did this policy cost us for a $700,000 level death benefit?
6 is over $66,000.
67,000.
And it disappears, right? So that's actually a cost. It has cost us something because we've put money into something that may or may not be of value to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're going to go back to our other
The one you show me right now, it was a term life, Kendra?
that last one was a 30-year term. Yep.
Yeah, because I skipped a little bit. That's what I asked you. Okay, thank you.
Yep, it was a 30-year term. $30,000 writers. 20-year term. Let's see why is it not. Yeah, it's a medical. Bear with me 1 second. Trying to run the illustration very quickly, and it's not playing nice in the sandbox.
So you running two different policies, right? A whole life and a term to show the
Yep.
difference?
Medical. Let me refresh the page. Sometimes it gets stuck for no apparent reason. So. $30,000 annual FPUA non-MAC. All right, it's being difficult, but the point is, because I've done this on last week's training, I would put a little bit more time into it if it was the topic of today's discussion. But the point is, what happens with a whole life banking policy with the death benefit?
It increases.
Can you ever outlive it?
No,
I think so. No?
Right. So we just showed that the death benefit becomes a fringe benefit because the amount of money that you have put into your whole life policy has been eclipsed by the leverageable cash value inside of that policy, right?
Eligible or ineligible?
Sorry, say that again, Molly.
You say eligible or ineligible? Eligible, right?
Leverageable.
Leverageable. Okay.
Yep, leverageable, meaning that you can use it for something else.
Okay.
So we've shown that the cash value eclipses the amount of money put into this. So the death benefit becomes a fringe benefit. So where is the cost? How is whole life expensive in a banking policy?
It's not.
Exactly. So that is the first objection, is that you can literally run it down for them and prove that a banking system whole life policy is not going to cost them anything. But people don't necessarily know that. Sometimes they need to see it. So objection number 2, I already have life insurance through my job. Okay, great. So let me ask you 3 questions about that insurance that you have through your job. Is it term or permanent?
It's a group term.
It's a group term. Okay, great. So what happens when it expires?
It's not portable. Most time it is not portable. We
Yeah,
cannot
like,
carry on. Yeah.
you cannot live it, right? You cannot live it. And just as you just said, that was my second question, Molly. If you leave that job by your own choice or not, does that insurance come with you?
Very rarely happen. We can cover.
Rarely.
Yes.
Rarely.
Yes.
And 3,
Indra,
yep,
can I toss something in here?
yeah, go ahead.
When you have term insurance or any benefit through an employer, the federal government has placed in a process called COBRA that you have to be able to take out most of your benefits. But if they're yours, you have to pay for them if you choose to take them. And 9 times out of 10, especially in life insurance, because I've seen it, is the term insurance in COBRA is 3 times the cost of what it would cost you to buy your own policy outside.
True. That's true.
So
Great.
you got to be careful when you say, if you leave your job, it doesn't go with you. It can, but most people don't choose it because of the expense.
Oh, I never actually say anything. If listen very closely as I go through these objections, I never say anything. I ask a lot of questions and let people think about it for themselves. I answer their questions with questions. So the question that I'm asking to this client is, if you leave that job, does it come with you? So I guess a caveat would be, if it does come with you, what is it going to cost you? And the third question that I would ask is, does it build cash value that you could reasonably use to achieve your financial goals? And let them answer.
what's that question again?
does your policy, because they're telling me that they have life insurance through their job, does that policy build cash value that you could reasonably use to achieve your financial goals?
No.
And just for your own edification, by definition, term policies do not build cash value. They do not have intrinsic value that you could leverage. It is just covering you against a potential death. Or well, really it's covering your family against your potential death. So does anybody have any, I should probably check the chat. I've been ignoring it. 1 second. Yep. Thank you guys for the participation. I know I'm terrible at minding the chat box too. I'm just looking to see if anybody has any. Look up how the premium balloons. Yes, thank you. And I think we did look up at how the premium ballooned in year 31. What about lost opportunity cost? What were we talking about when you put that in the chat?
Some medical underwriting, maybe.
When you leave that job, you lose your coverage. I thought COBRA only affected health benefits. Dad, do you have a comment on COBRA affecting benefits other than health?
COBRA affects the life insurance, I believe the disability and the health. And all of those benefits are semi-portable where you can take them, but you are taking a group product and paying individual premiums for it. So the insurance company effectively nails you to the cross and throws the cost up very, very high so that they don't have to deal with it. And if you do want the coverage, maybe you got health issues, then it's worth it to them because the premiums are so high. That's the basic thought behind group products being moved out in COBRA to a single individual. In a group, you're amortizing the cost of the insurance company and the losses over many, many people. You can't take a group product and make it a single without increasing the cost humongously. Does that help?
It helps me. So basically the long story short is, let them hang on those questions, and because really they're going to come to the same conclusion. Dad, could it be state by state or is it federal? You're muted.
Federal.
It's federal. Okay.
I noticed that somebody says they can't find anything that covers life insurance. All I can go by is my life experience, and I have had clients that have pulled out their insurance policies through COBRA. And they found that the cost was so prohibitive, they tried to get coverage on their own.
Yeah. So, I mean, the bottom line with this is that this is an objection course, and all of this is great information for you to know so that you can assist your clients. But really, those are the questions that I ask people. I let them think about it. Yes.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
I'm working with the company like for about 20 years right now, life insurance. And a couple of times people try to convert the group policy to individual policy. And both time they were very, very bad health condition, means they're going to die soon. In that case, I tell them to keep this one. We cannot write any other policy because of your health status. So they kept like that, even if it is be paying a lot of money to the policy, but still kept that policy like a converter and kept like that.
Because that's all they're going to be eligible for. And that is going to be the case in some cases.
Yes.
In terms of Life Plan 360, most of those clients are going to be between the ages of 35 and like 50.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So in that age bracket,
yeah,
the situation that you're talking about isn't going to come up all that often,
most
but
of
it could.
No.
And that is an entirely one-off circumstance.
Right, right.
And I very much feel for those people. But I do want to pull this back in so that we get through all of the objections.
Right,
If there are
right.
any individual questions, please feel free to let me know. I always try to make myself available
Okay.
for
Right.
specific things. Okay, great. So the third objection that somebody asked me about is what happens when somebody says, just send me a quote. I don't have time to have a meeting with you. Okay, fine. Just to let you know, I'm actually unable to send you a quote. I don't deal in death insurance. I help people build plans to protect all aspects of their lives, build wealth and financial certainty. Please feel free to let me know when you can squeeze in an hour or so to achieve your own financial freedom. And I leave it at that. Because that's a fact. I don't deal in death insurance. And if somebody is looking for just death insurance, then they don't understand what it is that I do. When I say that I am a financial consultant, I do occasionally sell term policies because that is all that particular individual can afford right now to protect their family. I have no problem telling a client that they are not ready for the type of product that they are looking for. But yeah, in terms of just send me a quote, clearly they are not my client. I'll give them the 15 second elevator pitch and move on. When they are ready to talk to me, they'll come back. Okay, so the next question I got was, what happens when somebody says, I have a pre-existing condition, I do not qualify for any life insurance? This is where I generally start doing a little bit of delicate digging. So a couple of things that you can do at this point, see if you can find out if your client has already been declined for insurance in the past. Because if they have, the chances of you getting a whole life product on them that can be used for banking is slim to none, and you're going to need to look toward other avenues to assist that client. The second thing you can do is see if you can find out exactly what the condition is. There are a lot of people who feel, oh, I'm on high blood pressure medication, I'm not going to get insurance. A lot of insurance companies don't care. So doing a little bit of background underwriting with them, finding out exactly their height and weight, finding out what medications and dosage they're on, finding out what their condition is and what their doctor has said about it. You can let them know that you'd be happy to do an informal underwriting with a carrier or two to see how that condition would be considered for what they're trying to achieve. And if you can do that, you might find out that, they're definitely not going to be preferred, but maybe they'll come back standard. Maybe they'll come back just under standard and work that out. Also, if they are truly uninsurable, see if you can find out if there's another party on whom that they could build a bank. Do they have a spouse that they could build it on? Is there an adult child that they could build it on? Do they have a sibling that they could build the bank on? I had a client that I had to work with underwriting because he was the primary breadwinner. He made 80% of the household income. She was a teacher. He was an engineer. That's just the way the two get paid. However, he was uninsurable because of a couple of conditions and his height-weight ratio. So what we did was we had to build the whole bank on her. But because of her income levels, standard underwriting would say, you can't do that. That's too much money going in. There's too much death benefit. That's not going to work. We're not going to approve this. But working with the carrier to let them know what the objective is here and what the situation is here, and getting all sorts of doctor's notes and et cetera, they would be willing to approve it. So that is something else to consider when coming across clients like that. And if you truly have a client that does not have anybody else that they can build their bank on, and they are fully uninsurable, we could still talk to them about building a stable retirement plan using annuities and things like that. It's not going to have all of the perks of a full-on banking strategy, but you can protect them. Objection number 5. I have a savings account to cover my final expenses. I don't need life insurance. Okay. Traditional life insurance covers only death. We are putting together a plan to cover all of the events that could or will occur in your life that could affect your and your family's financial future. Also, I'm not suggesting that you purchase life insurance, but when we did the stress test, the only financial vehicle that had all of the qualities that you wanted in a bank was in fact life insurance. Are there any other questions that I can answer about how it works that would make you more comfortable? So really here, what we're trying to do is to, again, put it back to them. This is their choice. This is something that they're trying to accomplish for themselves and their family. And this is something you're not pushing it on them. You are showing them what is possible. And they have, by what they said they wanted, they've eliminated everything else. This is all that's left. So is there something else? Do you have other questions that we can make you feel more comfortable about this decision? Does that make sense to people?
Flipper.
Was there a question? Okay. So the next objection is my personal favorite. I love this objection. It's just fabulous. Dave Ramsey says whole life is bad. Has anybody gotten this objection? Anybody? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All of you are going to get this objection if you're working in the banking space. So I really ask a lot of questions here. I never actually say anything. I let other people speak for me. So do you know specifically what it is that Dave Ramsey has said about whole life insurance? And let them answer. A lot of times, yes, Steve, I would agree with you, but we can't actually say that. We're going to turn off the client because they like Dave Ramsey. So a lot of times they don't know specifically what Dave Ramsey has said about whole life insurance. So you need to know. So Dave Ramsey said that whole life insurance is evil. Do you know why Dave Ramsey said that whole life is evil? And again, they don't know why. Doesn't like whole life insurance. So Dave Ramsey says that whole life insurance is evil because it only guarantees a 6% growth per year. And right there, I pause and just let that hang for a second. Let that sink in. Let me ask you something. If you were guaranteed to have 6% growth in your accounts every single year without the possibility of having a decline, would you be upset about that?
I do.
And let them answer. Seriously, let them answer that. Because nobody is going to be upset about getting a 6% guaranteed return every year. So let me ask you something. Why is whole life insurance bad? And just let them think about that for a minute. One of the other things that I have often done is to give my clients a copy of this book, Money, Wealth, Life Insurance by Jake Thompson. It is in the PDF copy of it is in the back office in the software. So I highly encourage having the software, A, to run down the appointments with your clients, but B, for all of the resources housed therein. Yep, that's exactly true, Philippe. He's not licensed. But I generally don't get into that with clients. I just take precisely what Dave Ramsey says and prove that it's a load of crap without actually saying that he's full of it. I never say anything. I let other people say it for me. I make suggestions, you know, why is it bad? Why does he think it's bad? Would you be upset if this actually happened? So don't take a side. Let people draw their own conclusions. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, good. So the next objection that I got was, I don't want to mess with the money in my 401k. That's fair enough. If that 401k is with your current employer, there probably isn't a whole lot that you're allowed to do with it anyway. However, if your rollover IRA, especially with the market the way it is right now, I just want to show you an option to stem the bleeding. I can't guarantee that you're going to make an 8% return every year, but I can guarantee that your account will never lose money, ever. And when the market grows again, so will your account. So basically with this, you know, people get really, really attached to their 401ks. And remember, we're letting other people say things. So when we're suggesting that they reallocate the money that is currently going toward their 401k, one of the things, and they balk it, oh, well, no, I like my 401k. I want to keep all of that in my 401k. I'm not suggesting that you necessarily do. I'm just showing you what is possible. We're basically throwing fake numbers into this other column. We're moving fake numbers from column A to column B to see what's possible. If we don't like it, we just move them back. No big deal. And another thing you can do in the software is do multiple scenarios. So you can show them an actual build of what it looks like if you leave that $500 or whatever it is a month going toward your 401k, or if you reallocate it going toward the family bank, the Smith family bank, or whatever it is. So, and how that's going to play out. The other thing is a 401k is not guaranteed. And again, I never say anything. I will ask them, is the value of this 401k guaranteed? Could it lose money?
Yes.
Is it guaranteed to be there when you retire? Can you use this money for anything that you need money for? Is there a penalty? Is it taxable? Ask questions. Ask questions. They'll come to their own conclusion. So, yeah, always be asking questions. Yes, 401k is also pre-tax. That's a fair point. And if they bring it up, that is something that I will take into account in the build. And if they don't bring it up, they didn't think of it. So we're not going to talk about it. When you take money out of your 401k in retirement, it gets hit by 50% in taxes.
That is in 72 and later, I think.
So if you are greater than 59.5, you're at least not getting hit with a 10% penalty, but it will be subject to your current income tax rate in that year. So if you are in a state that has state income tax, that state income tax will also be applicable in addition to federal taxes, if there are any state and local taxes, etc. Anything in your plan is not taxable when you use it because of the way that functions. So the next objection, the market always comes back. Yes, it does. The market will always come back. So there are two guarantees that exist with the market. Does anybody know what they are? Anybody?
Just let
Goes
her.
up, it comes down.
It goes up and it goes down. Those are the two guarantees in the market. The question is when and how much?
Right.
Do we know those things?
No.
No. Okay.
Hey,
So let
Kendra,
me ask
there's one other one, sideways.
sideways. How do you mean?
The market goes up, it goes down, and it goes sideways or stays flat. Those are the three directions of a stock market.
Yes. Yes. Honestly, at this point, we're making a joke is that there are guarantees with the market. It will eventually go up and it will eventually go down, but it's not stable. It's not predictable. That's really the point that we're making. But so the question is when and how much is it going to go up and go down? So let me ask you something. What if 2020, 2008, or 2001 happened again a year before you retire?
Very,
And
very
let it
bad.
hang.
Very bad.
Right. Just let them think about that for a minute.
Mhm.
Worse. What if that situation occurred again a year after you retire? And again, just let them think about that possibility for a second before moving on.
The distribution will be less than.
Significantly, because if you are, yeah, exactly. So if it goes down a year before you retire or worse, a year after you retire, yeah, you're still working or you're going back to work. But if you're going back to work and you were a professional, a lawyer, an engineer, a teacher, whatever, are you going to be able to get the same job that you had before at the same pay grade? Probably not. So the question is, would a position where the worst thing that could possibly happen to you is that you look at your account, your annual statement at the end of the year and say, oh, I have exactly the same amount of money that I had last year. Would that situation make you more comfortable than a situation where you don't know when and how much the market's going to drop?
No, there is no growth.
Fees, Perry, fees are also guaranteed in the market.
No.
Is that what we're asking, that fees are always guaranteed in the market? Well, yes, that is a guarantee in the market. In terms of annuities, I always aim toward products that do not have fees, because in a product that does have fees, in a down year, those fees still need to be paid, so the client can in fact still lose money. So I always shoot for a product with no fees so that I can guarantee beyond a shadow of a doubt that they will never lose money ever. The worst that can possibly happen is their account stays flat, which is a conversation I had with one of my clients on Tuesday. Awesome. So does anybody have any questions before I move on? Okay. Was there a question? Okay. So there's a couple more objections that I want to get to before, and we've only got 15 minutes. So, number 9, I have plenty of insurance. I don't need more. Possibly true, but is it the best insurance for you? Let me just mute some people. Is it the best insurance for you? Is it achieving what you need it to achieve? Is it creating wealth for you? Is it creating financial stability for you? Is it protecting your family, not just against the possibility of your death, but in case of debilitating illness? So yes, I've actually had that conversation with clients that they are significantly overinsured, that, they're as a household making $250,000 a year and they've got over $5 million in death benefit, but their policies are not gaining in cash value the way they should be. So something I've done for these clients, and currently I'm in the process of doing for some clients, is rearranging things such that maybe they don't have as much death benefit because quite frankly, they don't need it. but they do need to be building well. So putting them into properly designed policies that are achieving their financial goals is what we do. Number 10, I personally, I like this one. You're pushing this because you're a life insurance agent. I'm actually not. I do have a license to provide life insurance products to consumers, but I'm a financial consultant. Life insurance is not the only thing that I do. Also, I have a fiduciary responsibility to do what is in the best interest of my client without regard to my own financial gain. So I'm going to time out right there for a second. The definition of fiduciary responsibility is something that every single person on this call needs to know by heart and should be able to rattle off in their sleep. That definition in and of itself, when it becomes intrinsic and just rolls off your tongue, saves a lot of clients for you. Because as soon as you know that, they are feeling that you know that and that you take it seriously. So yes, so after rattling off the definition of fiduciary responsibility, I have said this to clients that if I didn't think this was to your benefit, I would not sign my name to this application because it reflects on me. I have actually told clients that I will not write a particular product for them because I don't believe that it's in their best interest. And if that means losing a sale, then it does. But I take my fiduciary responsibility very seriously. And that's a fact. I have in fact told clients, you're not ready for this. If you want to protect your family against your potential loss of income, I can write you something that you can actually afford, but you are not in a financial position to be ready for a bank, and we can work on getting you there, but today is not that day. Also, I'm not looking for a quick sale. I want this project to make sense to the client. Guys, please mind your background noise. I want this to make sense to the client. I want them to be comfortable with it. I want them to think of this product and this relationship between them and myself as more of a marriage than a quick fling. And guys, use whatever analogy makes sense for your vernacular, for your speech and your relationship with this client. But this is something that you should feel will support you in good times and bad, as opposed to someone that you went out with a few times, didn't really hit it off, and never saw again. I make money off of happy clients. It is in my financial best interest to do what is in their best interest. I'm not looking for a quick sale. And that's something that they need to be comfortable with, and you need to be comfortable with. Because something that the quick sale mentality does for you is it puts you on the chargeback hamster wheel, and that is not a place that you want to be. Which is why when I build a plan for somebody, we look at it from an annual perspective. Because you can never get a chargeback if it is an annual payment. And it's also in their best interest to have it on an annual basis, because the cost of insurance is just slightly, but it is in fact less, and therefore they are building cash value faster. Does that make sense to people?
Yes.
Felipe, I'll get back to that one in 1 second. So the next objection that I have is, are you sure it's really safe? Okay. So would you agree that banks are really good at making money?
Yes.
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 So we took a look. Shall we take a look at how they do that?
Life insurance, I believe.
But you're sitting with a client, and these are objections that the client is giving you. So we're going to do that. So share screen 2. So we're going to go to the FDIC website, and we're going to have them pick a bank. Somebody give me a bank.
Chase.
Chase.
Chase? Chase, search. Oh, really? Refresh. Refresh. Give me 1 second. Let's try this again. Bear with me 1 second. My link is being stupid.
Chase or Wells Fargo?
Okay. So Chase was the one I heard first. Wells Fargo would probably be better because I think Chase is the only bank in the country that the general rule doesn't work. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna search. It's gonna think about it for 100 years. You're usually looking for the lowest number in the certification. We're going to take a look at the assets and liabilities and the most recent report, which it's now October, so June is the most recent one. We're going to generate that. And it's going to think about it forever. So keep in mind that these dollar figures are in thousands, so we need to add 3 zeros to the end of whatever number we're looking at. So we're going to take a look at a couple of different things. So bank premises and fixed assets, they've got 22.8 thousands, millions, $1 billion in real estate. Sounds like a lot of money, right? Now we're going to come down to line 41. They've got $12 billion in life insurance assets. So Chase is the only, I want to show you one other thing, because Chase is the only bank in the entire country. You can literally look up any bank you want. So what was the other one I heard was Wells Fargo?
Yes.
Fargo. I know that we've looked at Bank of America before. I think we've looked at Santander, but we're going to look at Wells Fargo. Abilities generate report. But really, you can look at whatever bank they want to look at to prove it. So we've got $10.5 billion in bank premises and fixed assets. Now we're going to come down to line 41. So they've got $19 billion in life insurance assets. So if banks didn't think that life insurance was a safe bet to make money, why would they have $19 billion in life insurance and fixed asset in life insurance assets?
Well, Chase has money in life insurance too. Why did you not think that was a good example?
Chase does, and you can still make the point, but in Wells Fargo is still a better example. But honestly, if they come up with Chase, I probably just wouldn't look at the real estate for comparison's sake. But the reason here I'm looking at the comparison sake is because we've got $10.5 billion in real estate assets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody says invest in real estate. It's a great investment, right? Mm-hmm. But then we come down to life insurance assets that nobody talks about ever, and they've got almost twice as much. If banks didn't think it was a good idea, would they do it?
No.
So for Chase, I would probably just look at their life insurance assets and say they've got, $12 billion in life insurance assets. If they didn't think it was a good idea, would they do it? And ignore the real estate for Chase because people get bogged down in that. But for any other bank, you can say, guys, it's like double. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to stop sharing really quickly. Sorry, I'm trying to rush through these really quick. Also, are you sure it's really safe? You can show them any illustration that you run for them and point at the guaranteed column or page. There is a guarantee in everything I do for people. In an annuity, they are guaranteed to never lose money. In a life insurance policy, they are guaranteed to grow at a certain rate of percentage. And yeah, they might get dividends. I mean, they haven't not gotten dividends in any given year in over 100 years, but I can't technically say that it's guaranteed. But on the guaranteed column, it says guaranteed right on it. By contract, that number is guaranteed. If you're putting in this much premium, you will have this much in cash value and this much death benefit. And I can guarantee that because it's on the contract. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
The last objection that somebody sent in was, my income fluctuates. What happens if I have a bad month or year and I can't make the full payment? Okay, great. That's actually perfectly fine, because we can look at an illustration. Let me pull one up really quick because the Foresters thing is being a little bit stupid. Give me one quick second. So, oh, come on. This is where we show them the second page of an illustration. Share screen 2. So in this example, the client is putting basically $16,000 a year in to their policy, but their premium is only $6,600 a year. So in this case, that is really what they need to be putting in a given year. And the rest of it is going to cash value. So if they are having a bad month or a bad year, they're just not putting that in to their cash value. So they have a lot of flexibility and a lot of space. And for somebody who is in, say, sales, like all of us, if they're having a bad quarter, a bad month, bad year, whatever, okay, then they just reduce the amount of money that they're putting into the paid up additions rider for right now. And if next year is better, they can backfill and they can do a catch-up payment so that their bank is the way that they feel it should be. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
So I wanted to give everybody homework for today. And I will get to the other questions in the chat in just a minute. So your homework for this week is so next week we're going into the software again. So I need somebody to volunteer. I need a couple of people actually to volunteer to do the role play with me, and anybody, and actually fully commit to being a participant. Anybody who does volunteer, I will extend the 50-50 offer to anybody who volunteers for another week. So if you get me names of clients that you want to sit with and you're willing to do the role play with me next week, I will extend any business that's written off of that will be a 50-50 split, where my normal commission split with anybody is a 60-40 split. So that is your homework for next week. We are at the top of the hour, so if anybody feels the need to drop off, that is fine. I know there are a couple of questions in the chat that I wanted to get to. Here's another objection. I already have a financial guide. I'm okay. So you're going to get to that in the software as you're going through it. So, you know, as you're building this plan for them, a lot of times they're going to be coming to you because they have no idea how to send their kids to college. They have no idea how to get rid of their debt. They have no idea how to retire. And you're going to ask them if they have a financial advisor. And if they do, your first question is going to be, okay, what was their plan to pay for this? And if they don't have a plan for that, okay, great. So how much did they tell you that you need to have in your retirement accounts for you to be able to retire? If they don't have an answer for that, okay, well, you know, what is their answer to the fact that your accounts are not guaranteed? You know, have they even mentioned any of the other things that you're going to have to pay for between now and retirement? Basically, without actually attacking this person, you're going to be burying their financial advisor, who in the back of their head, like you're asking questions, in the back of their head, they're going, my financial advisor has done nothing for me. Why am I with this person? And I mean, if it really came down to it, you can ask them, well, what is your financial advisor doing for you? And don't never ever say it in an aggressive way. Ask curiously, like, okay, so if they haven't done this and they haven't done that and they haven't done these other things, what precisely have they accomplished for you? I'm curious. You know, what have they set up for you so far? What advice have they given you? And without fail, the advice is, oh, well, we'll get to that when we, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Well, guess what? Your kid's a senior in high school. You're there. You have to figure out how to pay for college right now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. What strategy? Oh, yes. Thank you, Hector. You had kind of already answered the question. And so for anybody who didn't see Hector's comment, what strategy did your financial guy recommend for liquidity, safety, predictable rates of return, and tax advantages? I really like that answer. I'm going to write that down. Yes, thank you, Timothy. Didn't Wells Fargo almost go bankrupt in 2008 because of bad mortgage loans, i.e. real estate? So of course they'd be purging their real estate investments in lieu of, you know, in favor of something significantly more stable and more valuable to them, i.e. insurance products. Anybody who needs the training today, please feel free to email me. Okay, so that's my email. Email me if you need the training today or the recordings from the last time I went through the software. I'm going to go through it next week. But if you need those, let me know. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please email me. If you have a client that you need help with, please email me. If you would like to actually do your homework and volunteer for next week so you can get the best value out of these trainings, please email me. If you have a suggestion for a future training, please email me. I am always open to whatever it is that you guys need help with. That's why I'm here. That's why I put effort into these trainings. And if anybody has any other questions, please let me know. Otherwise, it's now 4 past. So I will adjourn and say, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Any last questions before I go? Oh, helps if I actually post it to the chat, doesn't it?
The buying purpose, Kendra,
Yep.
the buying purpose is a whole life or IUL is better? I didn't understand that
Oh
yet.
goodness, no, I always build a banking strategy on a whole life chassis. So with an IUL does have a time and place, and I do use them in my practice, but not for banking ever. Never, never, never for banking, because with an IUL, the intrinsic value can fluctuate based on what the market's doing. So
Right.
if you have a couple of 0 years back to back, and again, we don't know with the there is no predictability to the market. So
Okay.
even if you are writing that IUL in the money column, like we discussed last week, there can be a couple of bad years that it's not growing. So if you are banking on predictable growth that you can use for things like sending your children to college, or I don't know, doing fixing up your house, or buying a second house, maybe an investment property, funding your business, doing all these things that people do with the banking concept, you can either get to a place where you don't have the money to use for those things that you have committed to, like sending your children to college, or your bank could actually collapse to the point where you have to pay things back right now, or your policy lapses.
You're talking
you
about
don't-
IUL. You're
Yes,
talking about IUL. Okay.
with IULs.
Okay.
where
But the
it's-
other one has some guaranteed number over there for whole life.
Right. A whole life policy is the single most boring product in insurance history. It is incredibly predictable and it is boring. It is not nearly as sexy as some of the other products, but it's dependable. It's that geek in high school that, you know, your first marriage, you went for the football player who is all exciting. And then your second marriage, you married a geek because they are predictable, dependable, and reliable.
Okay.
When do I use, so what companies do you use for banking? Personally, I use primarily Foresters. Right now, they are illustrating the best. I have used Mutual Trust Life in the past. When do you use IUL? So when writing a policy on a minor, for example, I do work with a project called $1 Million Baby as well, whereby you are creating a bucket of money for a child that they can use later in life for things like pulling out small amounts of money for college, for buying a house, for retirement when they eventually get there. But because if you're writing that policy on a kid that's less than a year old, they are absolutely not touching that for at least 17 years. It has time to grow. So they can pull out a little bit of money to help with some college expenses. And as long as they put that money back, it'll be there when they want to buy a house, when they want to put a down payment on a house. And if they put that money back, it'll be there when they retire or if something comes up. So it's a great place to start with the concept of banking, but for a family doing a Life Plan 360 type of banking, an IUL is not going to make it. And the intrinsic cost of insurance on somebody who is 42 versus somebody who is 1 is significantly more expensive on the 42-year-old. So we want to minimize that cost to make sure that we are building the cash value the fastest, which is why we have the term rider.
The minor you means a small child. Actually, we can make a bank for them also with this IUL.
So for a project like $1 Million Baby,
Yeah.
I would use an IUL because you cannot put a paid up additions rider on anyone under 18.
18. Okay, I got it.
So the cash value in a whole life policy is not going to grow as fast without that paid up additions rider. Whereas in an IUL, it has the potential to grow significantly faster, especially when left to its own devices for say 17 years.
Okay. Yeah, and then they mentioned about the Forester is the one you're using before right now. And what was your other company before you're using?
So right now I'm using primarily Foresters. I have used Mutual Trust Life. Both of them are mutual companies. They are both over 100 years old. They both have been providing dividends every year for a very long time. Both of them offer a paid up additions rider. I personally like Foresters better because it has a premium deposit fund. So if your client has a large lump of money all at once that they're trying to put into a life insurance policy, that premium deposit fund allows you to spread out that large lump sum over a couple of years, as opposed to putting it all in year one. Putting it all in year one will spike the death benefit, thus increasing the actual cost of the internal insurance, which means that the cash value will not grow as fast.
Okay.
By utilizing the premium deposit fund, you are reducing the amount of death benefit required to maintain that cash value. Thus, the cash value inside the policy will grow faster.
Okay, so MTL and Forester. Okay. All right. Okay, that's it.
Okay. And any other super fast questions? We are now at 10 past, and I really want to be respectful of people's time.
The one more thing is how much is the guaranteed growth over there in the whole life?
That depends. So on average, including the dividends, it's about 5.5% per year, but the percentage guaranteed inside the policy of growth is dependent upon a number of factors, including age, gender, existing conditions, etc. Hence why there's an underwriting department. But that formula is something that I believe I could probably find out if it was truly important for you guys to know.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. That's enough.
All right. Well, have a great weekend, guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you would like to do your homework, please feel free to email me. And I will see you same time, same place next weekend, or excuse me, next Thursday.
Thank
Have a
you.
great weekend, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.